Okay, it is time to give an update on the Let's Go Washington signature drive effort to get just one more initiative on the November ballot this year in Washington state. Now, as we've actually discussed this topic just a few times in the past, with the final deadline now to submit these signatures just a few days away, this is actually a very timely update, and it appears likely to me that they're going to succeed with their goal of submitting enough verified signatures by the deadline. However, I don't want to jinx anything, and it isn't over until it's over. So if you're actually holding on to those signature sheets out there, sheets actually just like this, I've got a pile of them right here, now is actually the time to get those things turned in. Now, before we continue discussing the I-2066 Stop the Natural Gas Ban initiative effort, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel, like and share this video. It actually doesn't cost you anything but just a few seconds of your time, and every like, share, and subscription just makes our political class that much more upset. Now, feel free to share this or any of our hundreds of other videos with your friends and family so that we can continue to impact and expose the corruption in our government today. And of course, so that we can continue to bring you news and information that you can use to fix what's broken in local government where you live. So now back to the current signature drive going on out there. And I'm sure that you've been to a Walmart or other store over the past month, and you've actually seen people gathering signatures. Now, in most cases, they're collecting signatures for the I-2066 initiative to the people, which rolls back some of the weirder and the more harmful efforts by the state political leadership to ultimately ban natural gas in your home. Now, this initiative was actually launched a few months ago in an effort to address some of the Democrat-dominated Washington state legislature's kind of crazier forays into just making life more miserable and expensive for you and I. Now, in this case, making it more expensive and difficult to use natural gas at home. And as I discussed in some of my previous videos, bribing Puget Sound Energy, for example, with just a quick path for this large private utility to increase your power bill costs by forcing the UTC, which supposedly supervises them, to approve their next rate increase. And I've discussed this in more detail in my previous videos, which I'll link to down below. But there was widespread grassroots frustration and anger at the legislators, I should say, and Governor Inslee for this dumb piece of legislation, which of course inspired this initiative I-2066, which was delayed again in launching due to some legal wrangling in court over the title at the time. So since this is an initiative to the people, the time frame to complete the signature drive is actually much shorter than what you'd probably expect. It actually has a deadline for submitting the final signatures that's coming up on July 5th. Now, you don't want to wait till the last minute to turn your signature sheets in because they need time to verify them, but July 5th is coming up, and that's just a few days away. Now, what that means for you and I is that for those of us holding on to these signature sheets, again, just like this one, I got a handful of them here, if there are any signatures on them, you're going to want to turn them in quickly if they are to be counted. Now, I noticed that the Let's Go Washington people have just a wide variety here of super signing events coming up all around the state. They've been doing these for a little while. You can actually see these locations linked on their website. And those are great places to go to drop off your signed signature sheets or to add your name to the hundreds of thousands of other Washingtonians who actually want to stop Washington state's weird overreach, kind of heading down the road to a pointless natural gas ban. Now, everyone deserves energy choices, and our incompetent government should not be allowed to destroy those choices just to reward some special interests who donate to, and of course, apparently they own the political class. Now, this is particularly true with the decision earlier this year by the legislature. Only Democrats, in this case, voted for it. So this was to let the state's largest private utility, Puget Sound Energy, to essentially give them just a free pass to jack up rates on consumers if they would only stop opposing this gas ban effort. Now, anyway, even though by all accounts, and from every source that I have, the signature drive looks like it is on track to succeed, the margin of success is always important, and it can't be taken for granted. The Let's Go Washington people, they actually need to submit over 325,000 signatures to qualify. But in reality, this really means that they must submit closer to 400,000 signatures or more, just like they successfully collected signatures last year for the 6 initiative effort, which I did a lot of videos on the time. And you will all be voting in November on the 3 tax-cutting initiatives that the legislature refused to put into law. So this final homestretch signature drive going into the July 4th holiday season is important for this final drive to see just how many signatures they can successfully collect to get this one on the ballot in November. Now, remember, the Let's Go Washington, sponsored by Brian Haywood effort, is promoting the 3 tax cut initiatives already on the ballot with the tagline, "Vote yes, pay less." Now, assuming I-2066 also gets enough signatures by July 5th, then this is actually going to become the 4th initiative that really fits that same tagline, because not only are you protecting energy choice ultimately, you're, more importantly in some ways I think, you will also be paying less if the voters approve this initiative in November. Now, frankly, this November's ballot looks to be one of the most exciting ballots in recent history for Washington State, with just this clear opportunity for Washington State voters like you and I to kind of cut our costs of living in this state with all 4 initiatives that are on the ballot. This is a good way to start fixing what is broken in Washington, and the Vote Yes, Pay Less campaign is pretty straightforward. Now, one final update on this campaign that I think is worth noting, other than the obvious need just to get these last signature sheets turned in, but the other weird aspect that I'm going to point out here is that the billionaire class in our state has just gone full nuclear mode against Brian Haywood right here and the other financial supporters of the statewide initiative. You might remember I interviewed Brian here on the show a little while ago, and I'll link to those down below if you want to know more about him. But remember, our retiring state governor, Jay Inslee, and the current state attorney general, Bob Ferguson, who of course is running to replace Governor Inslee as governor himself, these guys have been funded by most of Washington State's wealthy billionaire class for most of their political careers. And these are billionaires like Nick Hanauer, who we've talked about before, Bill Gates, and some of their crew, kind of their friends. Now, these same billionaires are supporting this kind of scorched earth negative attack ad campaign that doesn't really attack the issues, but it's attacking successful millionaires like Brian Haywood and a handful of other local business people who have actually funded the Let's Go Washington effort for, of course, how dare they, try to stop the billionaires' efforts to increase the cost of living for regular people just like you and I, just so that these billionaire friends in the political class, they get to use your tax dollars, your money, so that they can divert that tax cash to fund the projects that those very same billionaires don't want to fund themselves. Now, you can't make up the blatant hypocrisy on display here, but this is also nothing new in our state. The billionaires rightly believe that they own our political class. People like Bob Ferguson and Jay Inslee, they clearly are the puppets, along with others who essentially do their bidding. And then these billionaires know that they can evade all the restrictions and the taxes that they're going to be imposing through our state government on the rest of us. So, of course, they want to attack anybody who dares to try to fix what is broken in Washington State. Now, this aspect of the whole initiative effort is something that I plan to discuss more in future videos, but for now, it's just worth noting how bizarre the political class's effort to demonize and attack the regular people who dare to push back against them, and how crazy this whole process has actually become. Now, remember, in less than a year, these initiatives in many ways have completely upended the political landscape in our state. And the political class and their billionaire owners clearly feel threatened by the successful resistance. They're going to pull out all the stops to make you pay more and to keep the gravy train going for wasteful government spending. And of course, they want to keep that running along. However, the only reason that we're even having this conversation right now is because people like you and many others showed up to collect signatures, sign these signature sheets, and of course, some people like Brian Haywood and others, they're actually willing to risk and spend their own money to help our state get to this point. Fixing what is broken is not an easy task, but it starts with people who show up. Because in the end, it is important to recognize and remember, the future always belongs to those who show up.